Greetings, I'm Jonathan Spirit. I'm not very good at this game yet, and welcome to Factorio Beginner Supershorts. As you may be able to see, Factorio is a game about automating factories. I concede that that's not a great description, but that's because there's just so much to this game, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you all. Just to clarify, this set of videos is not necessarily for beginners. It's by a beginner. So it could be that I'll have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. But we'll find out, so let's start a new game with default settings. However, as you know, I'm a peaceful mode player. Fighters, the native inhabitants of the world of Factorio, are not very peaceful. That's why I'm turning off their evolution and expansion so that they don't grow, and so that I'll be ready to summarily destroy them when the time comes. The Generate Preview button will tell us roughly what our map is going to look like. This map doesn't have much water, which is needed for several types of power generation, so it could be hard to expand. I'm beginning to suspect, however, that most maps are like that, so I think I'll pick this map, which has ore patches that are not directly connected, which makes it easier to mine, and a lot of room for me to expand. It may be said that there is a goal of Factorio, but Factorio is not a game about single-mindedness. My ultimate goal in this playthrough is basically to launch a rocket, but expect me to do about 100 rebuilds on the way there. Who knows what we'll try to accomplish. Press E to open up your inventory. Let's make an iron axe by left-clicking, and then hold right-click to inaugurate our mass tree genocide. As you break things, handy text will show up, telling you how much of that item you have. Big rocks are great sources of stone, and other resources like coal. Though it's becoming dark, there won't be any monsters suddenly showing up during the night. Press a number to pull that item from your hotbar. Press R to rotate it, and left-click to place it down. On this side is a lot of useful information like energy consumption, mining power, mining speed, and especially the expected resources. If we want to know how much iron we can get from this patch, we can press M to open up the handy map and hover over the patch of iron to see that we have 443,000 iron in this patch. Drag with the left mouse to move around the map, and right-click to create a tag or waypoint, with any item we want as the icon. To place down an item in your inventory, click on the item and press Escape. We happen to note that the output of this miner is right here. Miners output automatically. Control right-click to insert half of your current items into a machine. Control left-click to insert all of them. Press Alt to open up a detailed view of everything on your map. In order to understand energy consumption, we need to know what watts and joules are. Joules are a direct measurement of how much energy something has. Watts measure how many joules they use per second. K means 1,000, and a capital M means a million. So a piece of coal will supply 8 million joules, while this stone furnace will consume 180,000 of those joules per second. Looking up an item in your inventory will tell you exactly how long it takes to make that item in seconds. Divide that number by the crafting speed of a machine to find out how long that machine will take to make the item. Press Q to let go of an item you're holding. Coal appears in smaller patches than iron and copper. For a steady early game source of coal, place 2 burner mining drills facing each other, and they will output into each other, fueling each other. To pull items out of their inventories, Control-click. Shift left-click on an item to make as many of it as you can. You only have so much range pulling items out. This loop should tide us over for a while. Control-drag to pull multiple items at once. My stone reserves won't last forever, so let's have these 2 burner mining drills output into this wooden chest. Right-click to craft 5 of an item. You can also drag place items. It's time to talk about fluid mechanics. In order to start powering our base with electricity, we're going to need boilers, steam engines, and this offshore pump. Luckily enough, water is infinite. Our consumption is limited by our production. Pull up an offshore pump and you'll get a handy diagram of everywhere that you can place it. The offshore pump produces 1200 water per second. The boiler consumes no water, but the steam engine consumes 30 per second. So one offshore pump can run 40 steam engines. Energy can be stored in many ways, like the heat of water, if measured as thermal energy, or the chemical energy of coal. The steam engine will take 900 kilojoules per second from water and give it to the power network. The boiler will take 3600 kilojoules per second from coal, with an efficiency of 50% to heat water at 1800 kilojoules per second. So if a boiler produces 1800 and a steam engine takes 900, one boiler will power 2 steam engines. Luckily for us, we don't need that many boilers or steam engines right now. By the way, you can fish. Pipes are a method of transferring fluid. Unfortunately, you cannot walk through them or jump over them, but underground pipes will go underground so that you can walk through them. Boilers have 2 inputs and 3 outputs. The top and bottom will transfer water through pipes and act quite conveniently as pipes themselves. Steam engines also act as pipes. What about energy transfer and power usage? How do we not waste energy or power? Steam engines will run exactly as fast as is required to satisfy the power needs in watts of all items in your factory. If you only need 200 kilowatts, each of these steam engines will produce 50 kilowatts. But, assuming they have enough fuel, altogether they can produce 3,600 kilowatts. Any power producer in a small electric pole's area will be added to a list of power producers, and machines that consume power in an electric pole's area will be added to a list of power consumers. Power producers provide power to power consumers regardless of the distance, so one could say that power transfer is the least realistic part of this game. But I wouldn't want to handle the logistics of a path-dependent power system. Small electric poles don't have great range. In order to place them without second-guessing yourself, hold and drag as you move. Path independency makes it perfectly okay for me to do silly things like this. To see useful information like your electric networks, press the button in the map screen. The first thing to do with power is research. Let's research automation so that we can get assembly machines which automatically create items for us. To perform research, you need a lab and science packs. Let's place down our lab and fill it with science packs. Click on any power pole to view electric network info. We need 60 kilowatts, and our 4 steam engines are all together producing those 60 kilowatts. Satisfaction tells us how much of our power needs are being filled, right now, all of it, and production tells us how much of our power supply we're using to produce it. Even though I'm not producing science packs right now, I'm going to switch to optics. But we can use the power of inserters, chests, and assembling machines to create more science packs using automation. Red science packs require copper and iron gear wheels. Iron gear wheels require iron. This simple setup will pull iron and copper out of chests and insert them into the proper assemblers. Note, inserters are smart and will put the right item into the right inventory. This inserter will pull iron gear wheels into the assembling machine, and this one will pull science pack 1s into this wooden chest. There's a 2-to-1 ratio of iron and copper, so I'll throw in 200 iron and 100 copper. Assembling machines also have crafting speeds. Assembling machines are pretty bad with 0.5 crafting speed, and 5 divided by 0.5 is 10. However, this particular research, optics, takes 15 seconds to research 1 unit, and our assembling machine produces 1 unit every 10 seconds, so we're good. Next up, logistics, so that we can transport items on belts more easily, even though I haven't exactly told you about belts yet. But we're getting there. None of these setups for creating basic items are ideal, but for now, they'll get the job done. Electronics will provide me with filter inserters. Anyway, that's it for today's episode. In the next episode, we'll be able to make this setup bigger and better. I'll link some cheat sheets and video tutorials in the description. As always, if you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it. I hope you enjoyed!